Hey, it's the latest episode of The Ugly Truth today. Paula and I are talking about some memories from our childhood, as well as the recap and our opinions on the Super Bowl, from the ads to the halftime show and the gameplay. All of this plus some celeb news and ugly and awkward moments of the week. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie.
Our bodies are built for pleasure.
Paula.
How does a sex life get boring?
Uncensored as always, it's time for the Ugly Truth.
Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is episode 437. 437 ugly episodes. Ugh. Ugh.
You know what? I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't ugh anymore.
Well,
I've lost my ugh.
no. How dare you say that?
I know.
You did not lose your Uggs.
I just need to start ugging while I'm in the shower, because in the shower I sound amazing. But
the acoustics in a shower are so good.
What is that? I know I've read it before, but I mean, when I'm in the shower, I sound fucking amazing. Like I should be on
the acoustics.
I should be on The Voice.
Paula, one time, okay, I'm going to say something very embarrassing, and I'm going to let everyone hear how embarrassing this is, because it's hilarious as well.
Did you record yourself in the shower?
About 10 years ago, when American Idol was a thing, I was singing something in the shower, and I went, you know what? I think I have a shot. So I recorded myself singing, and I didn't even remember you know what it was? It was Martina McBride, because everyone thinks they can sing Martina McBride, which you can't, by the way.
Please don't tell me it was Independence Day.
No,
oh, God.
It was Broken Wing.
God, that's almost even worse.
She loved him like he was. Okay, so I sang it, and I was like, all right, so I'm going to listen to it, and if it's good, then I'm going to send it this tape or whatever. Legit believed myself. Listened to it and went, oh my God, what was I thinking? I couldn't delete it fast enough. It was so embarrassing. I said, okay, this is not my journey. I am no singer.
I'd have to be a duet singer, though, because all my songs are duets. I don't know
Harmony.
why.
It's the harmony. You can handle harmonies.
But not like Captain and Tennille. Like, I don't want some creep in a sailor hat playing the freaking piano or something like that.
No.
And she was strange. Did
Tony
I tell
Tennille?
you one more time? Once was never enough.
Any duo that sings about muskrats having sex is someone I don't want to be.
Every song sounded like they were having sex in their bedroom.
They were that unusual couple from the 70s that, you know, everyone has that couple. When we were little, there was always that one free, childless couple who was very open about how sexual they were. And that's them, for sure.
And then they were divorced in 5 years because he was cheating.
Oh, when Rob is feeling sexual, you know, it's an orgasmic experience. It's a whole night of pleasure. We really enjoy ourselves.
We went to the beach last weekend, and we just, you know, it was so beautiful. We made love behind the rocks.
We made love everywhere, and they do make love. There's no fucking going on. It is making love.
Oh, you did not make love. You were leaning you were bent over on a rock, and he did you doggy style. There's nothing making love about
beach.
that. His pants were around his ankles, and your skirt was hiked up.
It was the best 90 seconds of our lives.
And you did it as fast as you could because you saw kids playing with the ball down the beach, and you were afraid they were going to kick it in your direction.
And they always have that throaty, and, you know, and the husband's always like smirking and quietly going, that's right, honey. That's right. It was really beautiful.
And he's got some creepy goatee that's like salt and pepper.
Right. And his hair's just a little too long for selling insurance.
It's kind of thinned but feathered, so it looks fuller.
We really loved each other that weekend. It was beautiful.
He's wearing a sweater.
Right? Wrapped around his shoulders.
Baby fish mouth?
In what world is baby fish mouth a thing?
Baby talk?
Yes.
What's baby talk? Oh, but Baby Fish Mouth is sweeping the nation.
Sweeping the nation, yes. We watched that the other day. That movie was
I
really
was
funny.
just telling Victor I want to watch that movie because I get a hankering for it every now and then. Who's the dog, Harry? Who's the dog?
I'm the dog. I am the dog.
Because I said something about the movie. I said it to Ryan, and I'm like, have you seen that movie yet? And Victor's just like, Paul, it's rated R. I'm like, oh, I guess not. And so,
well, because she says the F word once, or a couple of times they say the F word. I
don't remember what it is, but
because he goes, are you telling me that Mr. Zero knew about your divorce before you did? He goes, Mr. Zero knew. He goes, adultery, infidelity is a symptom of something larger. He goes, well, you know what? That symptom's fucking my wife.
Oh. And then there's the orgasm scene, which we'd have to fast forward through that. And so,
oh God, yes, because he's so tender at the age of 14.
Jamie,
but I get it.
Well, he's not that tender because I sent him 162 slogans of condom slogans because I said, if you think she's spunky, wrap your monkey. And so I said that to him. He laughed for 5 minutes. He thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard.
You're so weird about what you protect him from, and yet not. It's so strange.
Well, that is
I guess
true.
If it's funny, I guess it's fine. But if it's serious, then it's like,
well, it's funny, but inadvertently, it's also a lesson.
It's educational. Yeah, you're right.
I'm planting the seed in his mind, the importance of safe sex.
I agree. I think that I use humor for many things. And I think that's a good thing. Okay, so speaking of, interestingly, so I went to visit our mom last week because it had been a while. And I promised her, since I'm the one that lives the closest, that I would try to at least call once a week since, post ICU surgery and all that stuff. Anyway, what was funny is, okay, so our stepdad was there and he was working in his office. Now, he eavesdrops. I know he does.
Of course he does. He wants to make sure we're not talking shit about him.
Well, one time he caught me and Mom talking shit about him, which was so hilarious. That's what was so hilarious. And this wasn't that long ago. And Mom's all, anyway. It was so funny. Anyway, so we were sitting there and she goes, just like overboard. This is why it made me laugh and wanted to tell you about this specific part. She goes, tell me something nice, something good and pleasant about when we had a good time together as a family. She really wanted to hear something good because we have so many negative memories. And I remember everything. Like I have like almost a photographic memory of my life from age 3 until yesterday. And so I said, I don't want to tell you. And she goes, why? And I said, because they were before you were married and before you found God. Like it was a time. And she's like, well, tell me anyway. And I said, all right, fine. And I said, it was just the 4 of us, and well, 5, I guess, the 5 of us. You had not found God again. And it was like the golden Renaissance period. Every day was a good day. She was employed and making a ton of money for a single mom. We were going to Disneyland. We had friends. It was like a party. It was a really good time in our lives. And I said, and then you got married. And then without fail, within 5 minutes, Paul's like, I'm going to go lay down for a minute. He goes to lay down. And I was like, sorry, I'm not sorry. But I mean, it's like I told her the truth. And she was like laughing and she thought it was so funny. And then she goes, remember when we found Taffy? And I said, yes, I do remember when we found our dog who had been missing, our childhood dog forever.
Yeah, Mom, that was like 1977.
No, it wasn't.
That was like 40 years ago, Mom.
No, it was when Taffy got lost. And then we were pulling into where she lives now. And on that corner street, our long lost childhood dog who'd been missing for like 4 years was in the front yard in this overgrown grass front yard. And she pulled over and opened the door and yelled, Taffy. And she looked up at us and ran to the car. Do you not remember that?
Jamie, I don't think that was at the house she lives at now.
It was. So we picked her up, took her to the vet, got her all cleaned up, and then Dad took her because we had Ebo. We had our other dog, Ebony, at the time, and we really couldn't have 3 dogs because we had Ebo, Sasha, and then now we had Taffy, and Dad didn't have any dogs, and he wanted Taffy. So he took Taffy, and that's when he moved up to, not Rough and Ready, but the one before that, Penn Valley.
Yeah.
And when I was pregnant with Tyler, I went up to see our dad for the first time after I found out. And our dog Taffy, who was a little cockapoo that we got when we were all little in the late 70s, she had this habit of chasing us every time we went to school. And so we couldn't ride our bikes to school because our dog would literally chase us all the way to school. So we had to start driving to school so that the dog would turn around and get tired and go back home. And every time we tried anything, the dog found a way to escape the backyard and chase us. And then she'd run back. So we were leaving to go to dinner up where our dad lived. And Taffy, as per usual, chased the car. And when we got back from dinner, she was sleeping by the mailbox because she couldn't get back into the house or whatever.
Well, the driveway was really steep, so
it was very
when
steep.
she ran up the hill, I mean, that was a lot
Yeah.
for her.
Yeah, and she was 22.
Yeah.
So we pull in and Dad goes, "Oh no." And I was like, "What?" And I look and he's like, "Don't look, don't look." And I said, "What?" And I look and she was obviously had died. Mm-hmm. But she looked like she was sleeping. It wasn't like she got hit by a car or anything. And it was one of the 2 times I've ever seen our dad cry.
Yeah.
Was the first one was when our family friend's son passed away from cancer when he was 12. And then the other one was when Taffy died and he had to dig a hole for the dog under the deck. It was rough. It was rough.
I think that's where my baby blanket went.
Oh, God. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That sucks.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me. I'm just
That
glad
sucks.
Mom asked you for a good memory, because if she had asked me, I'd be like, fuck if I know.
Yeah, so it was a weird, nostalgic. She just wanted some good memories that she couldn't remember, which I thought was very nice because, usually she wants to rehash therapy and I just, it gets tiresome. So it was nice. It was a good visit. And so I just wanted to let everyone know, because I know we've talked about her so much. Now it's like I feel like I have to at least let everybody know she's fine. Everything's great. She's feeling good and she wants happy memories, which I thought that's new and nice.
Well, good for her.
Yes, good for her. But it was funny how she remembered the dog of all things, which was really funny. And no, she doesn't have dementia or Alzheimer's. She's just, just like, you don't have a very good memory either.
I wish I had a lot worse one, but...
Yeah, well, sometimes I do too. She even said, "I sometimes feel sorry for you because you remember everything." And I said, "You know what? I'd rather remember everything than forget everything personally, but that's just me." Anyway, so speaking of memories, last weekend was the Super Bowl, and there was some ads that I thought were really well done and a lot of shitty ads, in my opinion. I don't know how you felt about the ads.
This whole Super Bowl, for me, I just thought was kind of like a buzzkill. I don't know. Not a buzzkill,
Really?
but... I didn't find it to be like as glorious as other Super Bowls. Like it was just kind of like, meh,
Right. Well, the actual game was not exciting until the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The last 5 minutes was incredible.
I just thought it was kind of lackluster, the game itself.
Right.
And the commercials, there was only a few that I liked. The rest of them,
Me too.
I was just like, way to, really try and polish the turd. I mean, it just...
Yeah. Well, I thought the Jason Momoa ad was hilarious.
That was by far my favorite.
It was so funny.
We watched that one. Well, we watched that one, and then we watched it again on YouTube because we just thought it was so freaking funny.
It was when he took off the muscles on his arms, I lost it. I laughed
We
so
did
hard.
too.
I'm like, what is happening right now? And then when he took off his hair at the end,
Ryan likes the one where he was trying to bench press the bar, and she's like, "You got it, honey, go!" And he's like, "I can't, take it." And she's like, "All right, I got it."
she grabs it with one hand.
I know.
Yeah, that was really funny. And then of course the one that everyone, I mean, maybe you didn't because you're dead inside, but I actually got very emotional with the Google one.
Oh, Loretta, yes,
With Loretta.
and he's like, "Help me remember, blah blah blah."
Oh my God, Paula.
Okay, I didn't cry, but it was touching, extremely touching.
Daryl and I were watching it for the very first time it came out. I'm like, I hear the old man voice and I go, Google, help me remember, blah, blah, blah. And I went, I see where this is going. And I'm already down a dark hole waiting for the end. And it was like, come on. It was sad to me and sweet.
And then the whole, I don't get the Mr. Baby Nut Peanut thing.
Dumb. So dumb.
What was with the dolphin sounds?
I don't know.
Because it was like, "Ah!" And I'm like, what is that?
Anybody who grew up in the 70s and 80s knows that's Flipper. So I don't know what this is. Like, you think there's a whole generation that simply doesn't know that Flipper existed and that this is the dolphin sound? Or did anybody not watch the Jim Carrey movie where the dolphin from the Miami Dolphins needs to be saved? That's the voice.
But I was thinking, I'm like, do you think they're trying to copy Groot from like Guardians of the Galaxy by like reborn, like having a baby Peanut reborn and like growing up? Or
Yes. Well, to me, it opens up a whole new line of advertising campaigns. There's the baby nut, then there'll be the teenage nut,
The teen
whole
nut.
thing. Paula, whoever thought that was a good idea, didn't hear themselves talk.
Okay, but you know what? It is a good idea because everyone's going to be talking about, all the hashtag nuts that you can do.
At some point, it's going to get really uncomfortable. I just don't know when, but it'll be interesting. I'm like, look, there's only one adorable baby right now, and it's Baby Yoda. Baby Groot's cute, but he's already a teenager in the movies, so that's over. It's Baby Yoda, and enough with the baby. There's only one king of the babies, and it's Baby Yoda, and that's it. So stop.
But
Just
you know
stop
what? It doesn't make me want to eat peanuts.
Fuck no.
And the Jason Momoa one, I had to rewind it because Ryan and I are like, okay, wait, who
was it?
What was he? It was Rocket Mortgage.
It was Rocket Mortgage, yeah.
And I'm just like, what the heck is a Rocket Mortgage? And so
It's a mortgage company, yeah.
but I mean, I wouldn't. That was one of those commercials where you're just like, wait, what was he promoting?
Yeah, so I was a little disappointed. No woodchucks from Geico.
I didn't see any Clydesdales. Did you?
Okay, so I tweeted, it was in the third quarter of the game, and I tweeted and I said, where's the Budweiser commercial? And Budweiser replied to me and said, it's on its way. And I went, okay, great. So about 10 minutes later, the Budweiser commercial airs. It was like 30 or 40 seconds, no horses. It was about typical American, which I loved, but it was not nearly what they normally do. And I was really disappointed. Super disappointed.
I mean, I always look forward to the Clydesdale in the snow with,
Yes.
usually it's like a little kid or, some animal. I don't know.
Yeah, they usually use their platform because they're like the OG of Super Bowl commercials.
They could have used Cowboy Cerrone this year because he's so
They
big.
could have used anything for typical American and then incorporated that with the whole Americana of typical Americans, and it would have been beautiful. I'm almost inclined to go to YouTube and see if there's an extended version because I was really disappointed. And I'm never disappointed with commercials to that level where I go, maybe there's a better version online. Like, I really look forward to the Budweiser one, which is weird, but it's like, hey, everybody watches the Super Bowl for different reasons,
Okay,
right?
there was one more, but I don't know what they were selling. It was Little Nas and Sam Elliott, where they had like the little dance off and
his little mustache. Yes.
That was kind of cute. But
was it Doritos or something?
I have no idea. Oh,
Mountain
wait, he
Dew?
was eating something at the end. You're right.
I think it was Doritos.
I can't remember, but
Well,
here's my problem. I was sitting there watching, and every time it cut to a commercial break, I'm like, all right, here we go. And if it did not happen, there was a fucking political ad. And I'm like,
oh my God.
I'm like, what the actual fuck is this? I'm
Yes.
like, go away! I'm like, I just want 4 shitty hours to myself without your garbage.
I
And
agree.
I think there were 3 total,
There were 3.
Ryan said.
Yes, there were 3.
And I'm just
Yeah.
like, I cannot believe they shouldn't even allow that. Like,
The three billionaires basically bought ad space for the Super Bowl, and I was so like, I'm like, you know what? If I had any influence at all, I would make all of you lose tomorrow. All of you. You're terrible for ruining this for us. But along with that, though, I'm a little wondering if you and I are completely on differing opinions on the halftime show. So I'm kind of curious. I don't want to talk about it forever, but I do want to know. Now, I will say that I loved it. And I know for some reason the show was considered really divisive. And there was one point, I was watching it because I'm not watching it in a sexualized manner. I'm watching it as entertainment. I'm watching it as 2 artists that I absolutely love. You know how I feel about Jennifer Lopez. I've loved her since U-Turn, which was 30 years ago, it seems. And obviously Selena, and all the way up. I've seen every single one of her movies. I have all of her albums. I just really like her because she works so goddamn hard, and she's reaping the benefits. Not to mention, she's older than me and looks better than my daughter. who's 24. Like,
Right.
she's amazing. And Shakira, I've always felt, got a raw end of the deal. I know she's internationally beloved, but in the United States, she had her blip and then she kind of moved on. I think she should have been way more popular in the United States. Anyway, so I wasn't watching it in a sexualized way. I was watching it like we had Demi Lovato, and now we have these two gorgeous Latin women. It's like it was, well, our people just took over, and it was beautiful to me. I loved it. I did start laughing at one point during, it must have been, I don't know which one it was, which Shakira or J-Lo, but I did start laughing because they started doing the open eagle dancing. And I started laughing my ass off, and I said, I cannot wait to hear Paula talk about this thing that people do at the Super Bowl halftime show where they spread their legs.
The Beyonce thing. I know.
The Beyonce thing. And I said, and J-Lo's outfit almost even looked identical to what Beyonce wore when she did it. And I have a theory, but I'm curious what you thought about the halftime show.
Okay, so I personally thought Shakira killed it. Like,
She did. Oh yeah.
And what I loved, I think the most, is she just makes it look so effortless.
Yes.
And I love the fact that her dancers and her are uniform. So she doesn't necessarily stand out on her own other than if she's singing. But when they're dancing, they're all dancing together. And
Yes.
so I like that. I like that she doesn't like overly promote herself.
Sure.
And so I think that looked good. And the other thing too is she didn't even look tired, you know? Like,
I know.
Like
Well, she's 43,
yes.
so that's a lot younger.
But I mean, she, and she's a professional dancer too.
Well, so is Jennifer Lopez.
And well, Jennifer Lopez is 50, but
51, yes.
51. I just really liked the way she did her thing, and she just always looks genuinely happy to be doing what she does. You know,
I will agree with you that I thought that Shakira was way more relaxed in her performance. She looked like she was having a lot of fun.
Now, as far as Jennifer Lopez goes, obviously she's into, working the pole because of her movie. So her first outfit, I was just like, okay, yeah, that's cool. The black leather thing. And then she turned around and she was doing something. And I'm just like, does she have like silver on her ass? I'm like, what is that?
Yes. Yes.
And of course, it was high. And so I'm like, oh, she looks like one of those pitbull dancers where their ass is hanging out, which I just can't stand because I just think it looks tacky. But, and then she lost the outfit and then I was just like, what in the hell? And the other thing, too, is I think her hair was overinflated. Like, she had too many extensions in there.
Somebody mentioned her hair being perfection, but I agreed that her hair seemed to be a standout. I started even noticing it. Like, I was watching her hair going, wow, her hair is so big.
It looked really heavy.
It did look heavy.
So I think she had too many extensions. She was trying to push a lot of dance into the performance, and her dancers weren't even dancing as hard as she was because she pushed solo stuff on her while she was trying to sing, and she kind of started to look a little haggard, like she was tired.
I do agree that she started to look like this was a lot of work,
right?
but her face, her intensity. I have seen many of her live performances and stuff, and it's just like this anger, like, I'm killing it right now, motherfuckers. It's like this really like intent, not angry eyes is not the word, but it's like this different face. Like, she's really focused on what she's doing and she's like in it. And not to mention the adrenaline that must go through one's body when you're performing on one of the biggest stages of the planet. I mean, that's a lot of pressure.
Probably.
Out of the over-the-top criticism, and you're not doing this, like I said, the over-the-top criticism of it being too sexy and that it was inappropriate because of who they were and how old they are, and that it was, this is a family show and all this stuff. And I'm like, can't we just, for God forbid, we celebrate two women who have been working since they were 18 years old to do what they love the most. And that for some people, this would be like the pinnacle, celebrating everything they've worked so hard for, all here in 8 minutes. Like, to me, that's really cool. And I thought it was really great that J-Lo brought her daughter on, who, by the way, her father is Mark Anthony. The child has a voice.
Yeah.
It's great. I loved it. But I I have been reading so many people going, oh, I just shut it off. I was so offended by that. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? Clutch your pearls somewhere else. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, we know the nation is very conservative right now. I mean, that's no surprise. So
yes, I just wish that we could celebrate women working their asses off, being able to afford to have hair that's too heavy, or to have Versace designed all of their clothes, or whatever. There's a reason they are entitled to that. They worked really hard for that.
Well, and not just that, but I mean, yeah, women are, you know, they can work hard and do whatever they want. But some people, you know, may not think that that's how it should be celebrated, because they might think it's a little slutty.
Speaking of the open leg dancing, you did notice it, correct?
You know what? There was so much going on with her performance. I just...
Right. Shakira did it too.
Maybe I don't.
She did, and I figured out this is my thought on it. They do that because it's over the top movement, so that people way up in the rafters can see what's happening. Because they apparently, which I did not realize, there were no LG screens up so people far away could see.
Okay, Beyonce does it in her videos, Jamie.
I know.
There's nobody to watch.
We're not talking about Beyonce. I just meant this specific show because it happens for everybody. Even Lady Gaga, even Bruno Mars, everyone did it. And I'm like, oh, this must be something so that it's like over the top movements so that people above can see if there's no screens, or even if there are, just so that you can see what they're doing. And just like Broadway or any of those other shows where they have to like overact or over sing or, you know, really boisterously so that you can actually get an idea. Just like when you and I talk in a mic, if we talk the way we normally do, we would sound half asleep. Like you have to project a little bit more. And I'm just wondering if that's why they did it.
Could be.
Oh, I will say on that note, okay, so I immediately knew why there was a poll. I immediately knew because she should have been, apparently, I didn't see the movie, but she did get some accolades for her role in Hustlers. Mm-hmm. And that's about pole dancers and women empowerment and stuff. And so I knew immediately why there was a poll there. But the shit she was doing, I just have to remind you, I went to LA for a birthday party a few years ago, and she wanted to do a pole dancing class with the women that she invited to come down and hang out with her for her birthday weekend. So I took a pole dancing class, and it is incredibly difficult. Like, I looked ridiculous, and I'm pretty coordinated, but not when it comes to that. It is so ridiculously hard.
Okay,
like, you have to have a core. You have to have a core.
Okay, I also took the pole dancing class, but you have to figure, before she did this movie, she probably was trained by like the top pole dancing stars. Like, they actually have pole dancing competitions, and she was probably trained by them for like 6 months straight.
I know, but still, I'm just saying that as someone...
And when she was flipped around, she had people holding her.
She did. I did notice that. So she could pretend to sing. It was just funny because when I'm watching going, what she's doing, and you're right. You know, you're right. She, of course, had training for this movie, but that's not my point. My point is that pole dancing is not as easy as it looks. That is one of those skills that you think you can do because you used to play on the bars at school, and then you have to literally hold yourself up around with your ankles. It isn't easy. It is so, and it's uncoordinating. Do you remember how uncoordinated you felt?
Well, yes.
I felt so uncoordinated.
And the more I think about it, it's just like, here you have like a great moment. You're, you know, the Super Bowl halftime show with two Latina women. And what do you choose to do? Wear like next to nothing but, you know, tinfoil covering your parts and dance on a pole.
Okay. All right, Mrs. Beaver.
No, that's not Mrs. Beaver. She was Mrs. Beaver. I mean, come on.
I know. All right. So moving on, let's do some celeb news. Now, I noticed that you saw the news. Now, by the way, we're recording this on World Cancer Day, which is supposed to celebrate the technology and the advancement in cancer treatment, which is true. There's a lot of cancers now that are treated and people go into remission and they never look back and they live a very long life, and it's amazing. And I'm so glad we're living in that time, not before when it was a death sentence no matter what. I woke up this morning to read that one of my most favorite teenage actresses, Shannen Doherty, has had a recurrence. She's in stage 4 breast cancer, and it's terminal.
Oh, it is terminal.
It is, and I'm devastated. She went on to Good Morning America this morning to announce it, and when she was filming the 90210 reboot, which I actually enjoyed quite a bit, she had it then. And Brian Austin Green was the only one that knew at the time because they're really close in real life.
It's weird.
Yeah, so now she has it. She goes, the hardest part was telling my mom. And I was like, I almost started crying when I read it because I was like, and then she said, you know, you sit there and you get scared and you go, why me? And then ultimately, because she's a little hippy dippy, and she's like, well, why not me? Why does anyone deserve to have a recurrence of terminal cancer? No one deserves it, you know. Some people's opinions may disagree when it comes to certain other people in the world, but in general, nobody wishes cancer on someone they don't know or, you know, whatever. So I don't know how long she has. She's like, I'm just going to live my life and, you know, I'm still alive, you know, I'm still doing what I'm doing, but she just really wanted to be the one. And I'm so sad. I'm so sad for her, but she's got a really good attitude. And for that, I think it's great. She's been really, you know, badass about it.
Well, gosh.
But I don't know what that means. Like, she didn't go into anything, but I don't know what that means for her. So Rush Limbaugh has lung cancer, stage 4 lung cancer. And Daryl and I were talking about
stage
this
4?
yesterday. Yes. And Daryl and I were talking about it. And I said, isn't it interesting? This is such a test because it's so easy to go good, right? Because he's just a terrible, you know, he says terrible things. And he has said terrible things about other people who didn't deserve it, like Michael J. Fox, for example.
Yeah.
He made fun of Michael J. Fox physically and, you know, accused him of not taking his medication so that his symptoms would be worse when he's asking for money for his foundation, which is absolutely below the belt. And so a lot of people are happy that he has cancer. And I'm like, I get karma, but I don't think I can sleep at night being glad that this guy has cancer because it feels dirty. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I really struggle with being glad that this person I don't even know is struggling.
If it was someone I knew and I genuinely hated, I could definitely sleep good at night knowing that they were about to die.
Me too. I'd be glad.
Hopefully a painful death and they were going to like drown in their own fluid. I could totally be okay with that.
You and I have a short list for sure. And if any of those people on my list suffer, I'm good. I'm happy with it. I'm great.
I'd like to watch.
Yeah. Sell me a ticket. I'll pay your copay today. Let's go. But not someone I don't know. And, you know, my biggest thing really is how fortunate he is that he's amassed so much wealth that he can afford to buy himself some time. Whereas average people don't have that luxury. And wouldn't it be nice if everybody had the luxury that he did and it just didn't require money, you know?
You know, it's funny. Was I talking to you or was I talking to someone else where I said, you know, you can have all the money in the world, but there's just some things you can't buy.
You and I talked about it.
Yeah. And so it's just like
true.
These celebrities or these rich people, you know, they can have, you know, millions, billions of dollars, but there's just some things that they can't purchase. Like, you know, if they have terminal cancer, they're just going to have terminal cancer and they can't buy their life back.
And for those who don't worship at the altar of money, hopefully already recognize that. But there are those who think money can get them out of anything, and they can for a lot of stuff, but not your health. It's just not possible. So don't live like that.
You know, there may be people out there that I don't like. You know, maybe I don't like the things that Rush Limbaugh says, but you know, everybody's, you know, free to their own opinion. I don't have to listen to it, but
that's right.
I most certainly wouldn't, you know, wish, you know, disease or ill upon someone because of the things that they say.
No, because there are people on this world who hate what we say. You know, they think that we're crass or unladylike or blue or whatever you want to say. And it's like, I would never, you know, and it's like, well, that's fine. And guess what? You don't have to download the show. That's great.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with him. I mean, he's from Sacramento. And so I do recall him, and he didn't always sound like this. He did change his tune as we got closer to where we are now politically, but he was a conservative forever, but California used to be real conservative. So it's not like it's a surprise, but yeah. So I always think of his wife, his children, you know, his friends who know him differently that's just me. And I know that there's a lot of people who don't give a shit and they're just like, he's a fucking cancer himself. So bye. But I don't feel that way.
And the other thing too is because he's a radio personality.
Yeah.
Who's to say that he doesn't turn it on a little bit when he's on the radio?
Oh, absolutely does. But he does, nobody's. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And then Taylor Swift's documentary, Miss Americana, has come out on Netflix. I have not had a chance to watch it. My daughters have, and they really enjoyed it.
Is that where she talks about her mother's brain tumor?
Yes, but she's also talking about how she's trying to reprogram herself because she relied too much on the approval of others, including her audience. And so I'm curious because it feels like she's constantly saying that about herself. I'm like, have we come to an end game on that, or have you finally realized that you're not the center of everyone's universe?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, I think she was an only child.
Oh yeah,
and I think
I don't know. I thought she had a brother, but maybe I'm wrong.
I thought she was an only child, and she's been doing this since she was young, like 14. Real young, and so it's just not stopped. I mean, it's been a runaway train. And what is she, like 30 now?
She's going to be 30, and there was a scene where she found out that her album Reputation, which came out a couple of years ago, did not receive any Grammy noms, and she was like pissed.
Yeah,
she was mad about it, and I'm like, well, see, that shouldn't matter. It's not about the awards. It's about the art, right? And so that's what she's trying to convince. She's trying to teach herself that it's not about the awards. It's about the art. And so, I mean, I appreciate the honesty. So I can't wait to watch it. Really. I just haven't had any time.
Right.
So I am going to watch that. I am curious. And of course, the fact that she's going to lose her mother just kills me because her mom is like her closest person in her life.
Well, I think her mom was her manager.
I don't know. Finally, and this is interesting, Pamela Anderson, who's a little bit of a wacky girl, she dated this guy 30 years ago, and then they decided to get married. 12 days later, they are no longer, they didn't even file the license yet.
So are they even legally married then?
No, they're not. But you know what I hated is they forced their adult children to show up to some beachside union and be happy for them. And then before they could even file the license, before the ink was even dry, they're like, I don't think so. And she like went to Canada. Like, she's not even in town. Like, she is gone. And I'm like, well, see, this is what happens when you revisit old boyfriends. It's never a good idea. Never.
I just don't understand how, it's always strange to me when couples, like, when they're only married for like a year and a half or something like that. I'm like, how do you know after that short a period of a time that you don't want to do that anymore? Like do people just not take marriage seriously? Or when it just gets a little bit hard, they're like, I don't want to do this. I don't get it. Or like Victor and I were talking about, like, he read something about someone who said that, their sex life and their marriage had gotten boring. And I'm just like, I never understood that concept. I'm like, how does a sex life get boring? Like,
you let it.
I'm just like, I'm like, I have never, ever been bored with sex.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've never related to that at all, but we're also very highly charged women.
Right.
But there are women who, once they have children, they're just like, I have no use for you anymore.
Well, I mean, I can understand a lack of desire, but actually just saying like, I just don't find it fulfilling. Like that.
I don't understand that.
I could never understand that. Or if a guy just says like, I just, like when we do it, it's just not pleasurable. I mean,
I can't imagine.
I could not even fathom that. So I'm just like, people who say they're bored, I'm like,
how can you be bored with one of the funnest things in the world that our human bodies do? Like, it's literally the funnest thing humans can do.
Especially with someone that you supposedly love. And
you don't gotta love them for it to be fun. That's what's so great about our bodies. They're equipped to have fun without the emotions.
In a marriage. And so,
I know what you're saying, but I mean, my point is that our bodies are built for pleasure. Why would you not want to do it? It's so fun. It's like, it's so great.
Yeah.
Strange. How can you be bored with that? Like, literally, how can you be bored with that?
I don't know. Fun. And so I'm like, I think it's just something fictional that people made up. But I'm like, maybe not, because, you know, it comes up a lot and, you know, freaking magazines and stuff. So I'm like, maybe it's real. I don't know. But
I don't think that's Pamela Anderson's problem. I think that she might have other issues.
I think she has commitment issues because, I mean, my God, she's been married to Richie Sambora, Kid Rock. Well, I guess that's it, right?
I have no idea. I don't follow her marital woes. But when I read that it didn't even finalize and that they were going to put the filing of the marriage license on hold, I went, well, what did we learn about revisiting old boyfriends? Can we just learn a lesson from this? Don't go back. There's a reason it didn't work out. Don't try again. It's over. Move forward, lady.
So can they just tear it up and just let it expire and pretend like they didn't get married?
Yep. I think it's 6 months. In California. She has to go, well, there was a reason 30 years ago I didn't stick with this guy. Why did I think this would work again? It doesn't. So I'm glad they didn't work it out. Honestly, I'm glad it didn't work out. I'm glad they had some weird, strange party with their children and that was the end of it, you know?
Well, why not just live together or move in or something like that? I mean, why fucking get married?
I don't know. I always say that Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell are my dream marriage because they're not even married. I love it.
Yeah, but some people are like me. They just like being married.
As you just say, move in together. But it's a common law marriage for them now. They've been married for, they've been together for 100 years.
Why give them the whole cow? That's what I'm saying. You know,
they have an arrangement and I respect it. That's the point. I'm not impinging my opinion on anyone.
I can't just move in with someone without a certain kind of guarantee. Like I'd have to have an engagement ring or something.
Well, that's you. I'm talking about this couple. All right, moving on. It's time to do our Ugly and Awkward Moments of the Week. In honor of Super Bowl, we're doing the sports edition.
Yay, sports.
Because it's football, producer Deb had an awkward moment when he was a 14-year-old football player. And I wanted to share it with everybody today because it's a really awkward moment. And so here's his awkward moment. He'll laugh when I'm sure I didn't get it perfect and he'll probably try to correct every detail that I got wrong, but this is basically what happened. He played Pee Wee football. Mm-hmm. He was the quarterback because he was the only one who could memorize, call, and run the plays because he was the only one. And he was also the smallest and he was fast. It was a very muddy day and they were playing and he got dogpiled, which happens.
Yeah, like he got sacked.
By several, but there was like a dog pile and he was at the bottom of the dog pile and he was the tiniest.
Was he like Lucas in the movie where when they pulled him up, his glasses were crooked and cracked?
I don't think he was that tiny because they're all 13, 14-year-olds, but tiny. It was a muddy day and he was dog piled in the middle of a mud pond. The pressure of being laid on, he farted so loud that the entire pile broke out in hysterical laughter. And he was trying to laugh, but he was mortified. But he was also trying not to drown in the mud pool.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm like,
in a mud
was
pond.
he drowning? Because, I mean, that could be scary. And if it was me, I'd be like, get off! You're killing him!
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went down. And so they never let him live that down.
Well, how did they know it was him?
I think it was pretty clear from the people who were directly on top of him.
I would have blamed it on someone else. I'd be like, it was Schmitty.
Yeah, it was him. I just thought it was really funny.
Oh my gosh. Ryan thinks that stuff is so funny. He's like, Mom.
It is funny.
He's like, Mom, last night, he's like, I went to go fart and I thought it was going to be quiet. He's all, it was so loud. And I'm like, oh my really? God. He's like, I was laughing so hard. He's all, no one was awake, but I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, well, thank you for telling me that, son.
Thanks for sharing. This one was funny. It says, I went up for a layup in a basketball game my senior year of high school. A guy reached for the ball and tried to block me, but ended up pulling my shorts down and off of one of my legs entirely. Trying to put basketball shorts on over a shoe is hard and ridiculous looking.
God.
So funny.
Well, at least he had underwear on instead of just a jock strap.
No, those guys wear like the little compression shorts under their shorts and stuff. So I'm sure he was fine, but it probably looked really weird. Okay, and here's the last one. This one was weird to me, but it was funny. I just thought I'd read it. It's 6th grade. I have a cold, and I'm playing pee-wee football in the rain. After we finish, we're heading to the locker room to get changed, and I start feeling lightheaded. I walk into the hallway, and everything goes blurry, and I faint. One of the coaches sees me on the ground and freaks out. She calls the other, it was a she. She calls the other coaches over, and one of them says, I don't think he's breathing, and unbuttons my pants and starts to pull them off. The other players start coming out of the locker room, who are now witnessing me hyperventilating while a coach is trying to yank off my pants.
Wait,
And I'm like,
what is that going to
why
do?
would you take off your pants?
That reminds me of the doctor in Scrubs, where he's not a main doctor, but they're just like, every time someone goes to see him, they're just like, hi, doctor, I think I have conjunctivitis in my eye. He's like, all right, go in the room and take off your pants. And he just,
Yeah, exactly.
no matter what it is, he tells everybody to take off their pants.
That's weird. So I'm like, why would you? But can you imagine coming to and someone going, I don't think he's breathing, and they start unbuttoning your pants? It's like, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I passed out in PE once. Did I ever tell you that?
You did?
Yes.
You didn't tell me this.
So I had first period PE, and I usually just drink coffee in the morning, and but I'm terribly hypoglycemic, and
Yes.
so we were running this relay race, and it was like just this huge long run, and it was like 20 minutes solid, and I started to feel like really winded, like my chest started hurting, and I kind of felt lightheaded, and I started to feel really nauseous, and so I went and sat on the bench, and I'm just like, you got to take over for me, I can't do this anymore. And so I was sitting there, and I just was not feeling good. So we were walking back and I'm like, well, maybe a slow walk will like calm me down. And so we were walking back to the lockers room. And then as soon as we got in the locker room, I opened my locker, and my friend was talking to me, and she's like, are you all right? And I barely heard her say, are you all right?
Oh my God.
And then all of a sudden I just like collapsed to the floor, but I didn't black out entirely. I just remember laying on the floor, looking up at the ceiling, and I'm just like, blah.
Oh, no.
And then the next thing I knew, the two gym teachers, they had me laying in the hallway or like the walkway. One had my head, the other one grabbed my feet and raised them up in the air.
Oh my God.
And they're like, what's your name? I'm like, Paula Campos. And they're just like, say it louder. I'm like, Paula Campos. And so I was just like, I was more embarrassed about that because I'm like, I must look like an idiot. And
Oh my
so,
God. Saying your name very loud. My name
Yeah.
is Paula Campos.
at least
You're
I
like
thought
elevated.
it seemed loud, and everyone was staring at me. And I'm just like,
Oh my God. That's so embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. I'm like, God. I'm like, why did I have to do that?
Oh God. All right. Well, that's all I have for today.
Yes. So, like we've mentioned before, Valentine's Day and Galentine's Day is coming up. So please go to uglytruth.com, click on the Amazon button to get your sweetheart or yourself something fantabulous. And then also go to lipandclip.com and get yourself some skincare. I will be going there today to get some skincare. My face has been kind of dry. No, actually not dry, wrinkly. My lips are wrinkled. I look like I've been smoking for 50 years. I don't know what's going on. So I'm back to debating on the facelift. But if I can find a skin cream that will help me not think that way, then I'll do that.
Good.
So also on our Facebook page, there are links to Girl Scout cookies. If you'd rather just order them online directly and have them shipped to your home rather than be harassed by the Girl Scouts outside your local grocery store, you can do that. And it will help my daughter out because she will get credit for the sale. Well, that's it for us today. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you on Sunday. Bye.
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.